Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's live stream. Sorry I've been down for a couple days. TradingView has had some issues, so I've had to contact customer support, review some of their coding over the last 2 days. I have been trying to get these streams and actions because there's lots of market action that is transpiring. All right, right now we're pretty much bearish all day. We had a gap up, markets have faded, and it looks to be triggering this potential head and shoulders on the SPX 10-minute chart. So I am anticipating more downside in this market. A few positions that I actually am writing right now is I have a Coinbase short still, I have a GDX short, I have a Bitcoin short, and an Amazon short, a Tesla short. And basically, we have secured quite a bit of profits over the last couple days. So it's an excellent job. I think the big winner that I wasn't able to touch base on, and I called it out 3 days in a row on my stream, was the CMND. Basically, CMND, I was trading it in this chop here. We were long at 420 and it gapped up on Tuesday. We took profits. Our members, we sold at 610 for over, I think it was 50% gain. And now it's right back down to entry. So I think this goes a little bit lower. But again, watch for this gap fill and maybe a small little retrace to about 320. And then we can maybe play it again on the long side. But again, this market right now is looking a little bit fragile. Bitcoin has acted very, very resilient, but I am expecting some near-term profits taking, especially since look what's happening. The Dixie blasting, surging here. This is going to hurt the markets. Keep in mind, we do have that inverted head and shoulders on the 4-hour chart that has triggered, and you're even breaking another resistance. You had 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 hours of extra consolidation here on the 4-hour chart, and we're just breaking that literally right now on this 10-minute candle. So big move for the dollar coming up, and this is on the back of yields still being soft. So what's driving the dollar sentiment if yields are soft? That's the big question. That's the big question that I'm looking at. So I'm expecting more downside in this market, most certainly. So we'll just have to be very patient with what's going on, but things are looking very nice right now in terms of our trade setups. Again, I'm going to put my Trading Capital Discord .ca, www.tradingcapital.ca. And again, the markets are looking vulnerable right now, so watch for more downside in this overall S&P 500 SPX chart. So we do have that head and shoulders triggered, or it's about to trigger. Big position, and what makes this more likely of going lower is being the fact that you have this bear gap opened here. You have another attempt at filling the bear gap off of a bullish gap up, and that has failed. So we did the old gap and crack trick. So this is not looking positive for the overall major indices right now. We did enter a new trade with members today. So if you're interested in finding out what I'm trading, actually we entered 2 new trades today. Swing trades. So my members are privy to those specific trades. All right, so we're just waiting on things here. Let's just go to the SPY 2-minute chart just to see what type of action. Now there is a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders that we have to watch for on SPX. Right around there, or actually it's here, this neckline to there. So we do have to watch for that, but we went up here once off of this little right shoulder, kind of failed. So odds are we continue to fail, but we will just be patient. Looking at Bitcoin here, let's discuss BTC. BTC USDT. Putting in this 2-minute bear flag, also a head and shoulders on the 2-minute chart, also a head and shoulders here forming. Basically, we're waiting for a break of this area here. Let me just redraw that in. But we get a break of that neckline there, and I mean, we're going to see a move down on Bitcoin roughly, and this should happen today, 43.5, so an extra 400 points off. Now, let me just mark that level on the chart here. I am seeing TNA rolling over, so IWM is getting hit right now as we speak. Just going to erase that. Let's look at the 10-minute chart on Bitcoin. Basically, if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin broke its main uptrend here, retraced to the scene of the crime, double top, and now putting in a little bit of lower highs on the chart. We do have a resistance trend line above to keep our eye on, which is that thick one there. I'll do that. And there is another potential, a little bit of a larger head and shoulders pattern that could be unfolding on the Bitcoin chart. And how are we going to look at that? Well, let's take a look at the 20-minute chart here. If we draw, so this is your left shoulder, your head, and then this is your right shoulder forming. So if you draw it from your left shoulder pivot, because we never got closes, whoops, gotta erase that. Because we never ever got closes below this wick, it was just wicks, you can actually draw your pivot through there. And if we were to trigger that specific trend or that specific pattern on Bitcoin, I mean, we have a move down to, let's just see here on the chart, it hasn't triggered yet, about 42,000. All right, SPX is getting spicy right here. So SPX once again is trying to break down. So let's see if we can get some trades. I am watching many things here. But so far, we are just waiting for the markets. Let me just fix that screen there. And again, I apologize for the last few days, but TradingView have been going back and forth with their support team trying to shape up and figure out what the heck was going on with their software. Jeepers, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. But we're back now. Back in the swing of things. We're still seeing weakness creeping into TNA. Dollar pushing for a new high of day. The dollar is still continuing to surge. Still continuing to surge. And again, most people are bullish on Tesla because it's been consolidating and coiling. I'm actually bearish. I mentioned that in one of my videos. Yesterday, we actually picked up a new short on Tesla, which it's doing very well as we speak. So that is good to see. We also picked up a beautiful short on AMZN, and which were already in the money as well. And those are the two trades that I will discuss. The other two, I'm leaving for my privy for my subscribers and members. But really interesting price action here across the board. Bitcoin's trying to retrace back up. SPX is still holding on here. SPX is still holding on. Potentially still a right shoulder development. It needs to curl up now. But again, you also have that head and shoulders on a little bit of a larger term time frame, and you have a strong dollar. So imagine we enter an environment where yields start perking up again with a strong dollar. That's going to be pretty crazy, in my opinion. SPX is moving up here. All right, this is a big test here. You do not want to lose this area if you're bullish on the S&P. You do not want to. I'm seeing mega caps starting to participate, so potentially there is some validity to this move. All right, a big push coming in the SPY here. Pretty decent sized push. Dollars still at the highs of the session, but definitely coming in slightly. So you do have the S&P down by 43 cents, minus 0.9%. Qs are down by 0.21%. And the Russell's up 0.47%. I think we could see all indices go negative, but that's just me. All right, S&P push, big push coming in. But definitely take a look at my Trading Capital Discord. Lots of new trade alerts across the board. Oil's getting demolished. There's a great deal of information that is transpiring in the commodity market that is going to give us some insights. Just going to adjust the screen here. Nat gas is getting wrecked. Oil's getting wrecked. So the two big energy commodities are definitely speaking to us. The question is, are you listening? All right, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back here on the mic. So right now we're seeing the S&P still trying to put that right shoulder in, potential inverted head and shoulders on the short-term time frames, but we are making lower highs. You are in a technical downtrend. The markets are negative today, but Microsoft's getting a decent push. Meta's trading under pre-market low. Google's trading under pre-market low. Amazon's trading under pre-market low. NVIDIA's trading under pre-market low. Tesla has lost most of its gains today, so this could be a big rejection point in the markets. One thing you have to ask yourself moving forward into the new year, and as we head into this December, this last month of 2023, is why is the dollar rallying right now? Why are yields collapsing? That's the big question in my mind. It's fair, and why is energy also collapsing? So that, as a trader and investor, if you don't understand why yields are falling, why energy is collapsing, why the dollar's moving up and trying to break out, or actually it is breaking out, then I'm going to encourage you to try to figure those reasons out. I try to keep my members abreast each night as to what is transpiring, and there's certainly a lot of interesting things that are unfolding here in this market. Definitely a lot of interesting things. A couple little articles here that came out on Blackstone's mortgage trust ETF. Muddy Waters is short Blackstone Mortgage Trust. So there's I guess, a hedge fund that is now short the Blackstone Real Estate Investment Trust. Let's take a look at Blackstone's chart because, believe it or not, I've been looking at some realtor stocks or some realtor companies. Ooh, yeah, double top. Look at that nasty bearish engulfing on the daily chart. It's down 2.97%. That is freaking nasty. Wow. Okay, so that's a bit of a nasty breakdown there in Blackstone. Very intriguing price action, I must admit. Very intriguing. So Blackstone's Mortgage Trust, which is ticker BXMT. So let's just look. BXMT. Shares fell as much as 9% on Wednesday after short selling hedge fund from Muddy Waters said it had taken out a short position in Blackstone. So wow. So it's down pretty substantially. Bouncing off of the lows. You can see you're putting in these lower highs above the daily 200. So that's a short-term positive. And actually, this looks interesting. I would not be shorting this here because if we get a break of this neckline here, you can see that there's a pretty powerful inverted head and shoulders that is potentially forming. Potential. So, I mean, I always find it interesting when these mainstream news networks put out these short articles or long articles where a stock could actually move in the opposite direction. Very, very interesting. This actually makes me want to accumulate it a little bit more because I don't trust a lot of these articles. You kind of have to often always be a contrarian indicator. Let's see what else is. So let me just flip back to the SPX. So the SPX right now, or the SPY, is down minus 0.8. QQQ is down minus 0.17 on the session. You have the 10-year yield down 1.1, 20-year yield down 1.65, and the 2-year yield up 0.48. So we still have that bull steepener occurring in the markets where the 2-year yield is well above the 5-year yield. Sorry, the 10-year yield. So that's certainly interesting. We're seeing Tesla trying to get a pop here. Coinbase trying to get a pop. The semis are trying to move up off of the lows. AMD had its event today, which is certainly interesting. What else do we have on the go? Big bank CEOs warn new regulations could harm the economy. Meta is child abuse breeding ground lawsuit claims. Yada, yada, yada. Dollar still at the highs of the session. That's still going to put pressure on these indices from breaking higher as long as that dollar remains near the highs. You have Bitcoin trying to creep up a little bit here. SPY is still potentially putting in that right shoulder. Could get a late day move, but we're still making lower highs. Markets are still in a downtrend. Dollar's still pushing. And a lot of the times, one market signal that I'm going to let you guys, the viewers in here, thank you for tuning into the stream. I just want to say that. But one little sentiment and market signal that you often get right before the market makes a big turn. So what has the market been doing recently? It's been making a move to the high side. It's been rallying. So often right before a big market turn, you get biotech running and flying. We have seen so many MLGO, Sarah, CMD. We've been seeing all of these biotechs just absolutely running to the high side recently and rallying. And that's actually a little bit of a bearish signal in my mind. All right, so gold is actually holding up here, up 0.5%, even though the dollar's positive. Tesla is one of the only mega caps positive on the session, up 1.56%. All right, I am getting an alert on CMND. CMND. I am getting an alert here. And a potential alert to go long the SPY as well. Not doing anything yet. Still just holding steady. I mean, as a pairs trade right now, you could go long SPY or Qs and short the Russell. That's looking interesting. The TNA ETF could fall all the way down to 31 or 30.98 gap fill. It's actually looking very likely that it's going to do that. All right, so SPY's still just chopping in range. Bitcoin's actually making a move higher here. So Bitcoin is trying to push up here. Very interesting. Now back at 44,000. The low today was sitting around 43.3, and it is making a move up. SPY's still coming down though. Dollar's still pushing. You know, some of the high flyers like Upstart have been squeezing pretty much all day. Natural gas is down 4.89%. Oil's down 3.74, piercing the weekly 200 MA. Take a look at this trend line on oil. I want to show you WTI crude, been weak all day. Daily chart I'll show you here. Look at that. Almost hit the target. Downside move of $68. And I think there's actually a little bit more. But the big thing on oil is we're piercing this weekly 200. Notice how we pierced it here. Got bought up, pierced it over here, tagged it. Support. So maybe we pierced it a little bit more, but a bounce should ensue. But needless to say, if the bounce starts in oil, what you want to watch now is this main trend. This is your COVID low, major pivot. And basically what we're watching here on oil is we could see maybe oil tag this trend line. We're watching a bigger head and shoulders now. You have a left shoulder head, and then this is a right shoulder over here. So you've technically, if you breach this neckline, you've technically opened up a door to another head and shoulders pattern. Now the downside target on this head and shoulders says oil goes to $3.54. Now I don't believe that target unless we get some sort of a COVID event again where the world shuts down. But that's what this pattern suggests, that oil goes down there. Again, that's not my base case, but you have to understand that patterns trigger, and there could be a lot of downside that catches people off guard. But what I'm expecting is maybe oil keeps flushing here. I mean, you're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. Maybe oil flushes here. Then we get a big retrace and then another move lower. That's kind of my expectations. And there's a lot of market cycles in history that are unfolding very, they say, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, Mark Twain. What we're seeing now, oil prices and tech, is basically rhyming with previous cycles. I'll be touching base with these cycles with my members, but it's not a healthy sign. Again, you have to ask yourself, why is natural gas, why is oil falling? Why are some commodity stocks getting slaughtered like steel and copper? And why are tech stocks still holding most of the gains right now in this last hoorah rally? Why are yields falling? Typically, yields falling are beneficial for the market. That's what we pretty much saw throughout the whole of this year. Every time yields fell, markets rallied. Well, there's a little bit of a character change that is occurring where yields are now falling and stocks aren't rallying as much as they are set to. So it's certainly interesting. And right now you have a super dovish bond market with the yields absolutely collapsing. Market participants are expecting a pretty decent move to occur, or a pretty dovish Fed to happen in this December meeting. That's what the bond market's pricing. All right, so Bitcoin's putting in a little bit of a potential top here again, a little bit of a lower high right at that 44,000 mark. Dollar's still trying to push higher here. We're still battling this little bit of a head and shoulders neckline that I'm watching. This is a big level for the SPX. Bull gap was opened in an attempt to fill this bear gap. Bulls failed. Bears are now in complete control, taking the market from positive to negative, and there's actually a big chance we could see a flush late in the session here. There's a big chance here we can see that. There's another hedge fund here, Canterbury Hedge Fund, that took a short position in BT, British Telecommunications. So ex-millennial trader and founder of hedge fund Canterbury Capital, Chris Dale, says he is short the British telecommunications company BT. Let's take a look at that. BT. So British Telecommunications. I'm not seeing it here. Just give me a second. Oh, BT.L. Nope. British Telecommunications. Let's see this stock. See, it's a British stock, so we can't actually get that ticker, unfortunately. That's one of the reasons why I was struggling. Inverted head and shoulders on the 2-minute is still technically valid. We need to see this break. Still seeing the Dixie move up, but TNA is moving down. So again, you still have the majority of the mega caps: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, NVDA, all trading under pre-market low. That's bearish. But you have Tesla above pre-market low, and you have Meta above pre-market low. Meta is actually positive along with Tesla. Then you have Amazon down 0.67%, Google down 0.34%, Microsoft down 0.66%, and Apple down 0.22%. So majority of the mega caps are selling today and down on the session. Bitcoin starting to move up. Let's see what's going on here. All right, SPY's still trying to push up here. SPX is still trying to push up. There might be a little bit of upside here with mega caps moving again. So, and the AMD event today was super negative. All right, Apple's getting rejected at resistance here. So I'm expecting a little bit of a down move coming into play. Meta's about to lose pre-market low, or at least testing it right now. Tesla's still holding strong here, up 1.74%. So it'll be interesting to see if it gives up any more of those gains. All right, SPY's breaking down here. We are heading into the last little bit of an hour trading here. Inverted head and shoulders still technically intact. SPX still holding, but this is not looking good. It really needs to make a move here, or it leaves itself vulnerable. Dollar's still pushing now. Bitcoin selling off a little bit. Meta's losing pre-market low. So now that's you have the only stock above pre-market low right now in the mega caps is Tesla. Watching all 8 charts here on my screen for the mega caps. Watching oil down 3.7% still. Nat gas getting slaughtered down 5%. Lots of weakness in the names, and we have the S&P breaking down here. Breaking down as we speak. What's really cool is I want to show you this SPY channel that I've been trading at pretty much for the last couple days since we have been out of commission here. What is going on here? What the heck is this channel? I need to erase that channel. All right, so SPY channel that I've been trading in for the last couple days while this stream, it's been absolutely fire, the channel. So if you simply drew this channel, you can even draw it from here. Take a look at this. I actually informed my members today in my Discord chat that as soon as we gapped up, I said SPY is a short at the open, and then basically look at it, it's been a short all day. But that's the channel that I've been watching on SPY. You can see pivot low, breakaway, bear gap, rejection right here, tags the low end, tags the high end, kisses it again down here, kisses it again down here, tries to break away above, trying to fill this bull gap or this bear gap, gets absolutely rejected. Now you're teetering right along this support. Such an interesting level. Such an interesting level. Let's flip back to the SPX here. So a wedge pattern is forming. It looks like we're going to break the low end of this wedge. Take a look at this. It's a big old wedgie. Oh, big move down in Bitcoin, guys. Wait till I show you this. Look at this BTC USDT. Look at that. A little bit of a pump, lower high, rejection. Now we're testing this neckline. Also another wedge pattern. Notice how Bitcoin's in a wedge pattern? A little head and shoulders. You actually still have that there. Downside still takes you to here on Bitcoin, but wedge pattern on SPX and a wedge pattern on Bitcoin. So that's super, super fascinating to witness and watch. But Bitcoin is breaking lower right now. So that's good for our coin short. AMD's weak. All right, SPX it appears to be breaking down here. The SPX does appear to be breaking down here. Not a broad market sell-off yet. You still have some sectors red and positive. So there's little pockets of strength in the market that we have to observe and recognize and realize. Apple's still trying to get a rally up here, so that's going to prop up SPY or SPX. So that one is trying to get a little bit of a rally. Look at this Dixie. DXY is pushing this market lower. Notice the Dixie breaking out, and small caps are now responding and falling and faltering. Small caps are also interesting because it had this bearish pattern, triggered it, and then you had this big bull gap today, closed above it, and now you're getting wrecked and demolished yet again. And look at this nasty tail candle forming on the IWM right at the head and shoulders retrace. What an epic, epic chart pattern. Just fucking beautiful technical picture. Just a really, really beautiful technical picture. So again, because you actually technically gapped over this neckline, you have negated this head and shoulders. But if we lose this neckline today, I'm still going to treat it as such that it is a head and shoulders pattern, and we can still get a downside target on the IWM to about 182. All right, SPX also continuing. Big drop on the SPX there. Yay, yay. We are beautiful printing now. Let's go. Let's drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Hello, sir. Hey there, Hitchcock's G. Hello, sir. Your thoughts on the soft landing scenario. Please, your thoughts on MTF investing. I don't know if MTF is a ticker, but I'll try to search that. Multi-time frame. Thank you for putting that in there. Just give me 1 second there. So, Hitchcock, I mean, whenever you give your opinion, it's always has a bias, right? And bias leaves vulnerabilities in the sense that I'm more naturally a little. Well, I'll put it like this: I'm more bearish right now, especially since we've had this massive, massive rally. But if you try to keep it from a statistical point of view, which really, when you look at things through a statistical or a data lens or a quant lens, which is what I try to do more of. And what I mean by that is if you just look at history and the soft landing scenario, has the Fed ever been able to achieve a soft landing? And the answer is very, very small degree of probability that they have been. I think there's about 2 times out of 10 or 12 scenarios where they achieved a soft landing. So if you just look at the probabilities, it's much, much more difficult for them to achieve the soft landing. And ask yourself, is it natural for stocks to basically, I'm a firm believer that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Well, when you pump the S&P markets up this much, just looking on the weekly chart from that massive QE, did we negate this whole move? Or did we at least test this pre-COVID high? You figure where the markets fell to off of natural fear, panic reaction, all the way down to 2,200 here. And then zero interest rates and trillions of global stimulus came into fruition. We didn't even retest the pre-COVID high. So I'm in the camp that we're not going to have a soft landing. We're starting to see the labor market. It's still holding up relatively okay, and surprisingly, it is holding up longer than what most market participants are expecting. But just statistically speaking, the probabilities dictate that we do not have a soft landing and that we have a hard landing. And there's a lot of market signals right now that are occurring underneath the surface that are suggesting that, we're probably not going to have a soft landing. And interesting enough, I mean, if you look at market cycles, if you follow, especially study oil is such an important metric to the overall economy, to the overall input costs for companies, consumers, inflation. And when you look at why oil is falling right now, why natural gas is falling, why yields are falling, that's going to be, if you can answer that question, that's going to help you develop more of a long-term thesis and a medium-term thesis. And there's a character change in the market. If you study yields and how they were moving, basically the Qs and the Russell and the SPY were moving in opposite direction of yields. When yields were going up, markets were falling. When yields were falling, markets were going up. Well, just in the last couple weeks, if you've seen the decline in yields, why are markets not trending higher right now? Why are mega cap companies like NVDA still selling off? So that's what I'm asking myself each and every day. There's a bit of a character change from the majority of the 2022 year. And I think the soft landing scenario is certainly possible, but I put that possibility at a very, very minuscule, small percentage. If I were to put it on a percentage scale, if you just look at history, divide basically, what's 14 different events, and 2 of them have developed a soft landing scenario. 2 divided by 14 is 14% chance that we could hit a soft landing. We have an 86% chance of a hard landing. Obviously, if I'm a betting man, and I guess all of us technically are in the markets, I'm taking the 86% odds pretty much every single time there is. Now, just because we have a hard landing doesn't mean, this is where it's confusing. The soft landing scenario really addresses the economy, and people have to differentiate what the economy is and what the stock market is. Sure, history shows that a weaker economy typically leads to lower price action, lower growth in the stock market, less liquidity. But sometimes, you get that scenario where bad news is good news, and liquidity still finds places inside the markets. But the stock market and the economy are very, very different. And when someone uses this term hard landing or soft landing, they're mainly talking about the economy, where, say, unemployment spikes to 5-6%, defaults skyrocket. That's a hard landing. But we're here trading and investing in the markets. And again, history shows, even if you just do fundamental analysis on some of these companies like Apple, like Microsoft, like NVIDIA, for them to be trading at these price levels, they're still historically way too expensive. Way too expensive. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee they're going to fall, but historically, they are very, very expensive. What's my take on the sudden change, say, with NVIDIA and AMD? Well, AMD had its event, so I don't know if you're aware, AMD had released its new chip today. I'm actually thinking there could be a little bit of upside here in AMD. But AMD's weak because it released its new chip today. Obviously, market participants don't like that chip, and I'm actually bearish on AMD. Full disclosure, I do have a swing short on AMD. I did cover my swing short on NVIDIA for a lovely 9% gain a couple days ago, but semis are in a technical downtrend, and I'm short on AMD right at this 123.21 area. That's where I have a short trade on AMD. So you can see we tested the high all the way over there, and now we're falling even more. And AMD could be triggering this head and shoulders pattern here that we have to watch on the 4-hour chart or the hourly chart. Let's do the 4-hour chart. You can see you have your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder. It's a little bit of a small right shoulder considering it's just a 4-hour wick followed by another downside move. But again, you break this flat bottom neckline, and this technical pattern suggests AMD could actually fall down to about 107. So I would love to see that happen personally, because that just means we get to buy it. And that would be a beautiful retrace, because AMD was consolidating, in this tight range. You can even draw it from here, this pivot over here to this pivot. If AMD retraces back to this area, this breakout trend line, that's probably a buy, specifically if it's in a straight hard shot. Hopefully that helps, but definitely market participants are not liking the AMD conference call that just ended a little bit ago. releasing their new chip. But needless to say, semiconductors are in a technical downtrend. Well, not yet, but they're close. I'm still been prepping my members that I'm seeing this head and shoulders pattern in the SOXX ETF, semiconductor ETF, where you have this left shoulder forming, this right shoulder. And I put this chart up basically when we were rallying. And I said, if we get a lower high, then you need to watch out for a move down to this trend line on the semiconductors. So you have a main pivot low from October. You have another pivot here. At the minimum, I do think we're going to get a move down in the SOXS back to this trend line. Whether it's here, whether it's here, whether it's here, I think we're going to hit this trend line. And then the big question is, do you hold that trend line or do you break it? Let's say you hold it, you likely get a bounce, a small bounce. But if you break that trend line, then you have a much larger head and shoulders potential that's on watch. And I'm not saying we get all the way back down to 307 on the SOXS chart, but there's certainly a potential. I mean, you could even draw the neckline on the SOX ETF like this. That would be your actual head and shoulders. So watching these two trends closely, but SOX are starting to curl over. Does look like NVIDIA's put in a near-term top, which is obviously the bellwether AI semiconductor play. And no one should be surprised at that. You know, I shorted NVIDIA with my members basically all the way up at, it was on that earnings pop. You can't even see, it was like 504.50, I believe. So pretty much we picked almost the near top. We did cover, if I look back on my notes, I think we covered on this candle here, this gap down, somewhere in here. I can't remember. I think it was like 456-ish, give or take. And then look, NVIDIA tried having a bounce, recapturing its trend, and getting rejected. So what this is showing us is that there's a big downtrend in semis that's starting. Even if you look at, this is a simple moving average trend. So I'm just going to erase this, erase this, erase that, just so it's a little more clear. If you look at the 3 moving average, simple moving average in pink here, it's a very short-term time frame. And you look at the 7, we got the bearish cross right on this candle, and it's been downtrending ever since. So what does that tell you about the market leading stock? And then you look at it, you take it another level deeper, you put on the 20 moving average. You got a bearish cross on this candle, and it's been downtrending ever since. So the trend has now changed, at least in the short term in the markets, and you have to be vigilant and mindful of that because things can certainly, I mean, look at this big red bar reversal on NVIDIA. That's nasty. That's not a healthy sign. And you still look at Apple hitting 3 trillion, super, super elevated. You know, Microsoft had a massive run. Tesla's been coiling. Meta's had a massive run. So many stocks are still in really the stratosphere. And if we are entering a recession in 2024, which is probably a very likely certainty, then these valuations are certainly rich for a recession. All right, let's flip back to the SPX here and just monitor things. So we are starting to break down some more. We have triggered those head and shoulders. You know, you have one here, which arguably downside takes you to about, let's just see here on the chart, breakpoint takes you to about 454 there. You know, and you are triggering the larger head and shoulders pattern as well on the hourly or 20-minute chart. So again, that downside, not going to happen today, but certainly the trend is changing here, people, down to 4,500. I expect a pretty decent bounce at 4,500. It's that whole psychological numbers. But definitely it's good to be in puts right now. You know, you're still not really seeing the VIX respond. And I think that's because the Russell's still holding on to positive gains. But once that Russell breaks down, that's good there, MGS. What's my set? Okay. That's good that you're aware, man. It's always good to be aware, especially if you're holding positions. All right, big drop coming in the SPX here. This is stunning. This is fucking stunning. Wow. I'm just stoked about this. I am absolutely freaking amazed. Thank you. So good to be short. Wow, what a dump coming here in the markets. This is getting really, really spicy. Spicy, spicy, spicy. We are falling pretty sharply here. We are falling pretty sharply. Apple's giving it up. Tesla's falling now. NVIDIA is still falling. Bitcoin's still holding up pretty well here, almost flat on the session. Wow. What a move. And don't be surprised if we continue selling throughout the rest of this power hour. I would be shocked if it tries to bounce at all. You may get a little bounce here and there, maybe a little bit of a retrace, but the dollar's still surging here. And again, the importance of this price action today is the fact that you gapped up and you tried an attempt at that bearish gap and it failed pretty significantly. So that's definitely a bearish sign right now. IWM still positive. NASDAQ down by 0.39%. SPY down by 0.24%. Things are in sell mode. Certainly they are. Tesla's still hanging on to positive gains. You have NVIDIA down 1.87, Apple down 0.4, Microsoft down by 0.8, AMD down by 1.23. Then you go to some of your communication stocks. Google down by 0.54, Meta down by 0.17. That was the other mega cap that was holding on. Then you have WTI crude down by 3.61, XOM down by 1.41%. The Jets ETF is loving this cheap oil, so it is starting to rally despite the market. Paying close attention to what KRE ends this week. KRE is kind of at like a little bit of a double top scenario. Do have some English soccer games going on right now. Always nice to have games during the week to help facilitate things. I'm a big Arsenal supporter. So we are in first place. But big derby, Chelsea, Man United, and then Aston Villa, Man City. Hopefully Man City drops points today. Hopefully there's no Man City fans in this audience. But if there is, Gunners are coming for you. We're taking you down this year. We are taking you down. And the market is dying right now. Market is dying. Our shorts are printing. Our coin shorts are printing. Tesla shorts are printing. Amazon shorts are printing. Let's fucking go. Yes, let's go, man. Yes. Our SOXS. Let's go, man. Come on. Yes, man. Fucking drop it. Drop it. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I fucking love this price action. I love it. I love it. My best guess is the Russell also goes negative today. That's my best guess. Coinbase now down 3.13%. Booyah, baby. Booyah. We are printing. Take a look at my... So SPY's hitting some support right now. Let's look at this Coinbase chart. Coinbase is telling us that there's a near-term top in Bitcoin. Basically on coin, you can see that there's a few patterns that have triggered. Excuse all the lines here. So let's erase that one. And we can see on coin has actually triggered a little bit of an hourly head and shoulders pattern. Downside target takes you to 128 on the charts. Left shoulder head, right shoulder, flat bottom necklines. I love flat bottom necklines. They have a higher degree of playing out. You've broken that. You're looking for confirmation on the hourly chart. Let's see if we get it. Let's see if we get it. But again, Coinbase is breaking down and Bitcoin is still holding strong here, still trying to hold up here. You know, almost broke that neckline, bouncing now. We'll see if it breaks today. It should. It should momentarily. I mean, the stratospheric move in Bitcoin has been absolutely impressive, amazing. Congrats if you caught on the long side. But now's the opportunity as a trader to short Bitcoin and try to get at least a 10% pullback. I mean, we've had a, what is a 60-70% move in like 2 months. Can it go higher? Sure, anything can, but can it go lower? Absolutely. The risk to reward right now, specifically around the market cycle and what's happening in the stock market with the dollar, with the currency pairs, with the yields, favors the downside. And we're still selling. We are selling. We are selling. We are selling. Selling, selling, selling. What are we selling? Everything. Everything. Agree. MGS SEC. And I just want to take this time to explain. I run a Discord at tradingcapital.ca. I post live trade alerts to my group, entries, exits, positions. I give you a little bit of a market wrap in the morning. At night, I post daily analysis videos for my members where I talk about basically everything from equity market stocks to bonds, yields, currencies, crypto, and also track insider buying and selling. There's been a whole host of insider selling in Amazon by Jeff Bezos, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, Wong in NVDA. Just getting an alert here on this Sera, SERA. These are one of the high flyers today that have been just pumping. You know, you can see, look at that move all the way up there. It is hitting a decent level right now, potentially looking to trade on the long side. Let's just see this. I just want to make sure that I can find the best potential setup. It is falling. It is falling. You know, if it flushes into the $5 level, then there's a potential long trade. It's piercing the $6 level, which is a psychological whole number, also a 50% fib retrace. But the 618 is probably going to yield a bit of a better bounce, sitting right at that $5.08. I mean, you could get a bounce here. Odds are you probably do, since there's a lot of money chasing. But this $5 level is looking a little bit more enticing. I just want to make sure I'm using my pivots correctly. Where am I here? So it's piercing that 50% fib retrace. This stock right now is up 172%. You know, imagine being the buyer up there. You're already down 42%. This could get a bounce, you know, from here back to the fib retrace. 50% could get a bounce, but if we flush here, that could be a long entry trigger. Bitcoin's still holding up here when mega caps are falling. I'm going to watch the Sera on my other screen, SERA. Let's just see the SPX still. So this trend line that the SPX is now hitting is a big level. It's your downsloping trend line here, from your pivot high to your pivot high to your pivot high. This is a big level on the SPX right now, on the S&P, and you can see that we're piercing it right now. So we're piercing that downsloping trend line that everybody has been watching, including myself. And let's just say a close below that area today. I think they will defend that area because it's such a big level. But if we flush and get a close below there, you know that 4,500 target on the S&P that is triggered by this head and shoulders here, left shoulder head, is going to play out. Like pretty certain that that's going to play out. And look at this. The markets are still flushing. Still flushing. Heavy volume coming in here on the flush. The Russell's almost negative. The VIX, is the VIX creeping up here? The VIX is trying. So I'm actually playing common shares long on UVXY. I think this one's been absolutely beaten down. I think this one could at least pop back to this area here. this 1283 area, your next pivot resistance if the markets really enter sell mode. Definitely pay close attention to how KRE acts. KRE has been performing well because of the lowering yields, but yields are now falling, and it looks like KRE is putting in a top. This could be signifying that perhaps we're going to see a bounce in like the 10-year. I was very close to buying TNX today. I'm even close to buying it still. I'm close to buying TNX here, which is basically a long interest rate play because we're hitting this 50% retrace. You have these double pivots. We haven't officially tagged that yet, but you are putting in this falling wedge pattern that is actually, it's a pretty big, you can see you broke it there, so maybe it just has a little bit more downside, but yields are certainly getting attractive for at least a small bounce, a couple percentage points bounce, but it is at support here, previous support zone, consolidation bounce. How you play long yields, I like to play TNX, so that's the 10-year. For a bounce, you can see my level here at 411 is holding. That's kind of where I marked on my chart a while ago where I would go long, but I don't have a position yet. All right, back to the SPX. So the SPX is now down 0.33, Nasdaq's down by 0.5. The Russell just turned negative. So the Russell just turned negative on the session. Bitcoin is now starting to sell. Bitcoin is now starting to sell as well. Couple headlines coming across. White House delays the banning of menthol cigarettes, holiday flight prices. How much will it cost you to book a ticket? Meta tests new AI features. What is that from the Wall Street Journal? Meta is testing new AI features. All right, coin is just getting absolutely wrecked. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. This is stunning. What stunning price action. Can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah. We are banking on our shorts. Our new positions are acting extremely well in this environment. All right, I'm looking at a potential long trade. Just give me a second here. I just want to make sure I picked the best setup here. Oof. All right, AMD is a long here. I'm looking at AMD 116.44. I'm long AMD. Just a quick day trade. I'm going to flip back to the screen. I'm long AMD at 116.44 here. Right here, I'm long AMD for a quick bounce. It's a 1/4 entry. We're going to keep close eye on this one. But I'm long AMD right at that 116.44. I will add basically every 50 cents lower to the position. Or actually call it 40 cents lower. 116 if the need be. 115.60. This is just a day trade. Just a day trade. Came out of nowhere. But I'm liking this trade setup. So we're long AMD here at this 116.44 area. Getting a small bounce now. Very small bounce. All right, AMD is getting a nice little bounce here. Still seeing a lot of market weakness. A lot of market weakness. All right, AMD. Come on, AMD. Push, 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 push. The target we're looking for on AMD. I'm just going to flip this to the 1-minute chart. This was your last little mini consolidation zone. It matches up with a little bit of a 382 fib reach. Oof, big down candle there on SPY. That was a big down candle. Oof, yikes. Yikes. Still okay though. AMD's still holding. AMD's still holding. I still like this level on AMD for a little bit of a long scalp. Just a long scalp. We're piercing it now. We are piercing it. So holy shit, this market's going. Tesla could go red. Tesla absolutely could go red. Anybody that caught that Sera move, that SERA, it did exactly what I said it was going to, where I said it could bounce here, retrace to this 50%. That was a 4 or 5% move. I expect it to still come lower. All right, AMD, we're still just waiting on AMD here. Coinbase still getting hit pretty hard now on the session. Coin's down 4%. NVIDIA's down 2%. Apple's down half. All indices are red. Dixie's up by 0.25%. Yields are all red. VIX just turned green. VIX did just turn green. Tesla's still hanging on. We could see Tesla red though. Come on, Bitcoin. We just need Bitcoin to fall. And then we would be really banking on our trades. Whoa, look at the Russell 2000. Holy mother. Look at this. Russell. Wow. Boom. Booyah. Baby. Holy, this market's just in sell mode. All right, guys, I'm getting close to potentially just cutting this, but I'm still holding. But I'm scared that we get a little bit of a flush. So come on, pump it up a little bit. Just a little bit, enough to get us out, and then give us a 10-minute push, and then you can take it down for the last 20 minutes. That's totally fine with me. Anybody taking a little bit of a scalp trade here on AMD with me? Or am I just one crazy motherfucker? Holy, the Russell's just getting slaughtered now. The Russell's almost catching up to the S&P downside. This is beautiful. This is fucking beautiful. So we took 2 trades yesterday. We took 2 new trades today. Swings. We're in a day trade right now. Slightly in the money. Come on, push up a little bit more. Push up, push up, push up, push up, push up. All right, at this first 236 fib, I'm going to scale out half the position and put a break-even stop. Come on, push up, push up. Push up. Come on, AMD. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on, let's go. Push, 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 push. Just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Come on. Yes. All right, I'm scaling out half, break even stop on the rest. The trade is risk-free now, so we pulled off half the position right there at that high, and now we're riding the other half with a break even. I still think we could retrace back to this 382 pivot, 116.75. Come on, baby, push a little bit more. A little bit more, just a quick scalp. Nice, MGS SEC. So again, I run a trading Discord at tradingcapital.ca. Definitely check it out. It'll be a good Christmas gift. It's only $50 a month or $400 for the full year. I track insider buying and selling, post daily analysis videos for my members. You get access to basically my portfolio, what trades I'm doing on the long and short side. And you get a whole host of other information. All right, I'm going to move my stop up now on AMD right underneath this pink moving average. So 116.56. I have a stop on the other half. 116.56. So now we're moving up our stops as the price action goes. We're almost there. I'm about to take profits on this trade. Come on, AMD, get it. I'm going to move this up a little bit more. I'm going to move it up to that pivot where we first took profits. So the trade, we're banking on the whole trade regardless. We're pushing up a little bit more now. We're pushing up a little bit more. Come on, give me another 10 cents or so. Give me another 10 cents and I'll be happy. There it is. Come on, AMD. Push, 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 push. SPY's still pushing. AMD's still pushing. We're going to get this. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Go, 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 go. All right, I'm adjusting my stop a little bit more now, putting it right underneath that pivot there, 116.65. I still think there's more in the gas tank, but we just want to secure profits as the market gives it to us. I'm seeing the S&P coming down again. All right, I'm exiting AMD here, 116.70. 116.70 exit on AMD. Beautiful little trade. Beautiful little trade. All right, so now markets can keep falling. I don't care. Still holding my coin short. Let's see what's going on here. SPX still trying to put in a little bit of a bottom. And remember, this downsloping trend line is that main trend. I expect a retrace there. And the big question is, can the bulls recover that trend line? On the daily chart, we are below it right now. But the bulls will have one last little stab at it, in my opinion. Wow, and look, AMD is even pushing more now. So if you're still holding, good job. But I took my profits and ran. I don't like to get cute, especially when there's only 30 minutes left in the session and we're seeing this huge rollover in the Russell, all indices negative. It's kind of a little bit of a negative sign. Oil's still down 3.6. Nat gas is still getting crushed. How's Bitcoin doing now? So Bitcoin still holding its resiliency. Anybody brave enough to short Bitcoin? Is anybody shorting Bitcoin? So again, Bitcoin's broken that little bit of a neckline. Coming up for a retest here. It's back below 44,000. All right, technically the market is a short here on this pop. It should see some sellers basically come back in. You know, AMD is technically now still a short in this downtrend. It's risky, but it's still technically a short. Even the SPX, if you get a retrace higher here, we should see more sellers commence and push this market lower. Tesla's still the only mega cap that's positive. I'm just putting on my iPad here this Man City Aston Villa game. Hopefully Aston Villa kick Man City's ass. I hate Man City. They're just so good. Can't deny that they're so good. But I do not like them. Sorry if I'm talking too much soccer in here. I know we're trading, but my team is in first place, Arsenal, and I'm super ecstatic and happy about that because it's been, let's just say it's been too long since we've won the league. Oh, big push on AMD. Holy smokes. If you're nice, are you still holding that AMD trade there, MGS SEC? Still holding? Wow, good for you, man. Rock solid. I paper handed that bitch. I'm a little bitch. You got balls of steel there, man. I would be securing profits though, taking some profits along the way, but I fucking paper handed that. But again, I'm seeing the SPX break down, so definitely watch out for more weakness. We're seeing heavy volume coming in, so definitely don't get too cute with this market because we could see a late day flush in the S&P. We could just see a late half an hour, just a flusher. Typically when markets gap up and lose that whole rally, you're very likely to see continuation weakness. Very, very likely. Still seeing Apple putting in bearish consolidation. Potential inverted head and shoulders on Microsoft, actually, on the 10-minute chart. So that's a little intriguing on Microsoft. Let's see that. It hasn't triggered, so we obviously can't entertain it until it triggers. But let me look at this 10-minute chart here and just show you the pattern I'm looking at on Microsoft. That's your neckline. Now you're putting in a wedge pattern, so it's kind of like a 50-50 at this point, which isn't good enough odds for me. But considering the market's weak right now, you probably don't play out this inverted head and shoulders. Take a look at Apple. I think they're going to flush mega caps, guys. Just be careful here. Just be very careful. They were holding Apple strong all day, and now they're just starting to test this low pivot and breakdown. We were in this consolidation range for a long time. Heavy volume on the 10-minute chart. Bears are in control. Be careful of this market, guys. Be careful. Yikes, man. I think we're going to get a big flush here, guys. Big flush. Nice job there. Still holding that trade there. On AMD, but I took it. About to start pulling profits. Yeah, that's probably a good thing. We now have 22 minutes left in the market session, and all indices are red. Dollars positive, yields are negative. VIX just turned green. Coin down 4%. NVDA down 1.97. The heavyweights, Apple and Microsoft. Apple down 0.5%. Microsoft down by 0.92. AMD is still trying to be a little bit more constructive to move higher. But again, to summarize things, we have triggered a head and shoulders on the 20-minute or even the hourly chart. I like to use the 20-minute here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline has been absolutely breached. Neckline has been absolutely breached. Downside target, still takes you. This is why we may see a flush and a gap down tomorrow. 1% drop incoming. Bitcoin's still just hovering. All right, I'm going to go potentially long the SPX here, 454.77. I just got filled on the SPX, 454. Sorry, I was looking at my SPY chart. My apologies. Went long SPX right there, 45.50 and 30 cents. 45.50 and 30 cents. I'm looking for a potential move. This is your breakdown. Stop loss is going to be low of day. Low of day stop. Hard stop in case they flush it. I think we can get a move back to 45.53. It's a couple dollars on the trade. At least. And I still maybe anticipate a retrace back to this daily support level. And then if we get rejected there, then it's pretty much game over. And we see that head and shoulders play out. Bitcoin's still hovering. Believe it or not, even with the selling, Bitcoin's flat on the session. Diverging from Coinbase. AMD. Holy, what a powerhouse on AMD. AMD's pushing, so we have about 19 minutes left in the session. All right, I'm going to move my stop now up a little bit right there, 45.50 and 64 cents, protecting the trade. Let's see if we get a push here. We're still riding this. We're riding. What a push. What a push in the markets here. S&P, all right, I'm going to move my stop up a little bit more. 45.51. New stop is in place. Let's see if we can get some more pushing. Everything's participating and acting well right now. All right, I'm exiting right here. I just exited my SPX trade right at this high here. 45.53, 64 cents. I'm out. Boom. Another little winner there. That's beautiful. Nice little scalps. Nice little scalps. I just wish I held that AMD a little longer, but that's okay. We still took profits on both of the two trades, and now we're out. And we could see a flush, guys. Just be careful. Or we could come down and form a, so you have a left shoulder, you have a head. Will we form a little bit of a right shoulder? And then we got to wait for a neckline break. So let's see if we form a little mini right shoulder here. You know, you have a high pivot now to trade against. If we come down and form this right shoulder, then we can actually play a little bit of a long trade. But again, this is risky when the markets are weak late in the day. You often see a, now again, this is too premature. This is not a right shoulder. I repeat, this is not, I'm just prepping my lines and levels ahead of time. But if we fall back into, say, this low pivot range, I may just try to scalp it again on the long side and risk the low of day as a stop. All right, markets are breaking though. No right shoulder was formed, but they are trying to push it. AMD is pushing up. Oh, hopefully AMD gets to 118. I'm in a contest on Predictogram to just win a small little wager. I said it would close. I said AMD would close. What's my range? Wow, AMD got all the way back here. Holy cannelloni. But we clearly were in the right vicinity. You got to love when you pick those movers, but it's hard watching them. All right, so my range on AMD is 117.94. That's where I said it would close today. 117.94. Hopefully we push back up there. I think it's a bit of a stretch. Specifically, we only have 15, 16 minutes left, but hopefully we get back in that range on AMD. Time will tell. Still watching this SPX potential inverted head and shoulders forming. I would love to see this come down a little bit more. We actually still have now a neckline there as opposed to the previous one. Let's see what action we get here. Come on down. Come on down. So the play here is to potentially come down and go long at this 41.51 level. So I'll mark it in here on these pivots. But basically, pretty much right at this green line, I may consider going long and risking the low stop. So I'll move my stop down. No trade yet. Waiting for it to build that right shoulder. All right, we're starting to come down just a little bit here. Bitcoin's falling now. Amazon's still weak. SPY's coming down pretty hard. All right, I'm long here. 45.51. I'm long. I'm long, risking a hard stop low of day. Now we need to curl up to form a right shoulder. Heavy volume on that candle. Heavy volume. Don't get cute with this. They could flush it and break us. I'm not taking an extra entry. I'm just going in with my one entry because they could actually flush it. Come on, start curling. Let's see if we get this. All right, so we're starting to curl. We're starting to curl. Keep going, AMD. Yeah, I know. Keep going. Keep going. I want to see that 117.94. All right, SPX is closing. We're trying to curl up here. It's trying. AMD is still trying here. Bitcoin's now falling a little bit more as well. Come on, AMD, get a push up to that 118 level. All right, SPY's trying to curl. So again, if we curl and create this right shoulder, you need probably another, how long did it take to form this shoulder? So you had your big dip down, so 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then you started breaking. So that's your big dip, 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. But a hard stop is in place because the market's weak today. And we could see a bit of a flusher late into the close. Whenever you see that gap and crack, that's what it's called in technical analysis, the FinTwit world. Whenever you see the markets gap up, start off positive, and then they give it up and then go negative, that's the old gap and crack scenario. And typically when you gap and crack, the last 10, 15, 20 minutes often ends in a late day flush, specifically if you're heading into the last 10 to 15 minutes at the lows of the day. So we just need to be mindful that this trade can easily go against us. It's super, super risky, but I'm just, since we've won on several trades today, I'm just kind of playing a little bit more riskier. I am seeing a little bit of a nice positive divergence. So here on your RSI 1 minute chart, you made your low here. Price action rallied and then fell on the RSI. You made a higher low on the RSI, but a lower low on the price. That's a nice positive divergence. All right, look at this move here. Come on, AMD. Come on, baby. Sorry, you have no sound there, Cyrus? Does anybody else sound check? Does anybody else have no sound? Sound check? Sound check? Can anybody? MGS, SEC, I know you've been with me for a little bit. Do you have sound? Sound check, sound check. You have sound? Oh, perfect. Thank you. So, Cyrus, that just might be... Okay, you're good. I'm okay. That's good, Cyrus. So again, we're in an S&P trade here now on the 4th minute candle, according to this right shoulder. It was on the 4th minute where he started curling up. So we've had now our big red bar down like here, and then you count over 1, 2, 3, 4 was when you started to curl up and get above this yellow moving average. So this is where we should start curling up. If we don't, we're going to flush. But tight stop in place. This is super risky. All right, Bitcoin's falling now. Bitcoin is now falling and participating, which is actually good because often what happens is we've been seeing recently a weird correlation between the indices and Bitcoin. As Bitcoin's rallying, indices have been falling. And then as Bitcoin's falling, indices have been rallying a little bit. So you're almost seeing the shuffle of money out of the S&P and Qs into Bitcoin and now potentially out of Bitcoin in the near term into the S&P. All right, so this is our 4th minute. Just like this, it took your red bar down 1, 2, 3, 4 candles to get above the short-term moving average. Big red bar down 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. We're pretty much almost identical symmetry, which means that the probabilities of this pattern playing out are a little bit more likely. But again, the market's weak. So we're going to get wrecked here. Boom. Oh, look at that big red. All right. We're still in. We're still in. We did not get stopped out on that candle. That was a hard candle down the S&P. Wow, that was a hard candle down the S&P. That inverted head and shoulders is still technically valid. Let's see if we can get a push up. Let's see if we can get a push up. Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right, we're basically flat on the trade. We're watching things progress here. I'm still seeing Bitcoin weak, Tesla putting in a bear flag, Amazon putting in a bear flag, Apple putting in a bear flag. Meta also under pre-market low, looking a little bit more bearish. Still holding SPY. Low of day is the stop, a hard stop. No closes, just a hard stop if we breach that area. All right, there's now only 10 minutes left in the trading session. Whoops. All right, SPX may stop us out here. It's getting very, very close. Whoops. All right, I just got stopped out there. That's it. A small loss on the trade there. Not playing around here. Low of day, stop me out. That inverted head and shoulders is broken. This now becomes a failed bullish pattern. Should see more downside in this market. It's going to flush, guys. It's going to flush. Here comes the flush. This is the one thing that I was worried about. Obviously, basically, we won on the one trade on SPX, one on AMD. Still net short, so I wouldn't mind if it flushes. So I'm just now negating this because we're going to get a flusher here. This is exactly what I was concerned about, and I prepped you guys. Small risk, but that is the flush coming in the market now. That is the flush. This is probably even a better risk to reward now since you're making new lows, but again, I just don't trust it right now. Late in the session, 8 minutes left. I don't really see why people would hold into this market right now. Just an update on some soccer. You have Aston Villa, Man City, 0-0, 38 minutes in. Sorry if I'm spoiling this for anyone. Tune out if you're a soccer fan, EPL fan. You have Manchester United versus Chelsea. Man United's up 1-0, 38 minutes in. Brighton versus Brentford, 2-1 to Brighton right now, 58 minutes in. Fulham's beating Nottingham Forest by 3-0. Liverpool's beating Sheffield United 1-0, and Bournemouth is beating Crystal Palace 1-0. Markets are still flushing. Go! Tesla's flushing. Bitcoin's flushing. Let's go. Come on, flush it. Flush it some more. Flush it some more. So, expectations for tomorrow, guys. Just since everyone is here, I'm here for the first time with you enjoying the stream. Are you doing the stream every day? Cyrus, yes, I do try to do the live stream every day. The last 2 days I haven't because I've had TradingView technical difficulties. I've been dealing with their tech and support staff trying to get the live stream back up and going. But I do live streams pretty much every day. Right now they're free. I will be potentially switching out to an exclusive live trading channel for my members, but I do run a Discord at tradingcapital.ca. So I'll put that up in the actual Discord here. Just give me 1 second. Wow, look at this move down. Sorry, I'm just managing some other positions here. So this website above is my Discord channel. I host a swing trading and day trading service. I post daily analysis videos for my members. The last few videos have been juicy. But in terms of answering your question, I do live trading pretty much every day. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. I will be here live again. And a lot of the important economic data points I cover, the meetings. So definitely tune in. I'd love to have you on board as a viewer. Like I said, right now it's free. But definitely try to check out my Discord where you gain access to a whole host of other information, and just take it slow. Obviously, everyone trades a little bit differently. How I make money in the market, how you make money in the market can be totally different, but it's all a learning process. You may hate the way I trade. You may love it. You may take some learning aspects. You may not. It's just a matter of trying to learn each day and try to take a few simple strategies from mine and kind of curate your own process. In terms of the time that I start, it's usually at 9:15. I'll try to do my pre-market from like 8 to 9, 9:15. I usually come on the mic in the morning, and I try to go all day for the most part. All right, so S&P is still flushing. Bitcoin ending the session week. AMD is getting absolutely slaughtered. Semiconductors are falling. Regional banks are under pressure. Snapchat, a strong stock, is still up on the session, but ending with a nasty little daily topping tail. You have NVIDIA falling sharply. You have Apple falling, Microsoft negative, Meta negative. So the whole QQQ department is still weak. All indices are down on the session. You have that dollar on the 4-hour chart breaking out. The dollar is now firmly above the 104 area. So if you don't know what the 104 area on the Dixie means, you best kind of research it. But I'll quickly inform you here just to give you the long and skinny of it. But basically, when you look at this dollar chart, now that it's back above this 104 area, it's actually 104.20. That 104 is the magic number for the dollar where it starts to begin its tightening process on emerging markets. So whenever the dollar's above 104, it really starts to put a headwind on the major indices like the S&P, because 40% of the S&P earnings out of all the companies come from abroad, and when there's a stronger surging dollar, that hinders the companies abroad in Europe, in Asia, in South America from earning money or making their profitability that much more. So the dollar is now what I like to call in critical tightening area, and it has broken out of a 4-hour inverted head and shoulders. Target is 105, and then we'll have to reassess from there. But definitely try to tune into my stream tomorrow. Hopefully we can make some bangers and win again. But it's certainly an interesting day here. And we are up nicely on some of our shorts today, which is always very, very welcomed. Qs are still pretty much finishing at the lows of the session. Wow. What a dump here. SPX, and like I said, they're flushing it. You know, we can erase that. We can erase that. We can erase that. Now there's 2 minutes left in the market session. Maybe you get a small pop end of day on a short covering, you know, volume surge, or maybe they just flush it. Okay, so if we get a pop, there's a couple scenarios here. If we flush at the end of the day here, we're probably going to get a gap down tomorrow. And that gap down likely can be bought for a day trade, not a swing trade, but just a day trade scalp. So let's say the S&P closes here and then it gaps down to like this 45.30 area, you know, or 45.30 or whatever. The gap down tomorrow, just like we gapped up today, I'll show you on the charts. Just like we gapped up today, I messaged my members today to start shorting at this gap up before the market opened. I say markets are gapping up. Look to short this market. And basically, if you shorted it, look at that move down. And that's the thing about institutions. They love gapping markets up when they need a sell because it's down 43.65 points from the high to the low. But really, it only shows the S&P down by 0.47. So they're able to do basically double the amount of selling, and it doesn't even look as bad on the charts. So now, if we gap, so just like you had a gap up here, if we gap down tomorrow and have a big bear gap open, you can actually buy that. I'll be looking to buy that gap on the long side just for a day trade. But big selling. Even if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's still falling here. Whoa, Bitcoin's going to flush, guys. Bitcoin looks like it may flush here into the close. Or just... Bitcoin is certainly due. Certainly due. But big bounce in the markets to end the session there. Bitcoin broke that wedge pattern, and it looks to be flushing. So watch that closely. On that note, the markets are now closed. The S&P closed at 454.71. Good job on the trades today. Excellent job. Definitely stay tuned for tomorrow. My name is Curtis Scouten. You can follow my Twitter at Trading One Capital. I'll put that in the text box below. I post free information there. I post charts, free information, a whole host of information that I think you would definitely find beneficial. So definitely follow my Trading One Capital Twitter handle. And basically, yeah, definitely give me a follow there. You can also follow my YouTube at Trading Capital Inc. I'll put my YouTube handle in the bottom. It should all be on my profile here, Trading Capital Inc. And then you can look at my Discord, my paid service Discord, where I keep that information for my premium members. But we're welcome to have you on board, whether or not you sign up or not. That's totally fine. I just like to share information that I think that'll help benefit new traders, new investors in the market, because it's constantly a learning process. And I'm not perfect. I get beaten up here from day to day. I make big wins, I give it back. I make big wins, give it back. No one's perfect in their trading. It's just about being right more times than you're not. So, also another cool app that I highly recommend people look at is Predictogram. That gives you insights into how people are actually trading. It tracks all of the trades, so there's no discrepancies or lies. It's fully autonomous and transparent. And basically, Predictogram is a really cool, nifty app. You can win money by putting in predictions. You can join teams, and it just tracks your overall prediction rate, what time you're right. And there's a whole bunch of different things. It's got a little bit of a learning curve, but it's definitely a fun little tool that almost gives you the ability to paper trade if you're not wanting to risk your capital at that point in time. And it also has a lot of consensus where thousands and thousands of traders are making predictions to see whether or not you're in line with them or if you're a contrarian. But needless to say, thank you all for tuning in. Definitely check out my Trading Capital stream, and we'll see you on the charts a bit later.